I guess let's do a show. Are we recording? Yep. In 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us Under the Library, our actual play Call of Cthulhu podcast set in a homebrew universe built by our very own keeper. If you happen to enjoy what we are doing here and would like to support the show, there's 2 ways you can do that. First, you can go to DriveThruRPG and purchase the Snake's Oil. It is our very own module set in Season 1 with Season 1 NPCs and Season 1 player characters. Or you could head over to patreon.com/underthelibrary. Either way, we would appreciate your support. And if you are an RPG player or GM of any sort, D&D, Savage Worlds, Call of Cthulhu, Fiasco, whatever, and would like to improve your role-playing, you should absolutely check out our other podcast. We just recorded the last episode of the first season. We're pretty proud of that show. I think it's pretty good. It's called Up Your RPG and can be found wherever you get your podcasts. With that, let's do a show. My name is Arthur. I am playing Buddy. We are short 1 Chris for the entire night and a Rick for at least the first half of the show. He may be here after the break. We'll see. But to start with, I am joined by Emily, who's playing Joe. Scott is Eddie. Wayne is Sister B, because I can't pronounce whatever that last name is. And of course, as always, our keeper is Michael. Michael, the show is yours.
Thanks for hopefully my wonderful lighting tonight. Anyway, thank you for joining us. Yeah, Under the Library, our Call of Cthulhu tabletop RPG featuring themes of supernatural, bodily horror, and horror in general. We don't know exactly what's going to happen because we are an improv group, but we do like to preface that some material may be sensitive for some viewers, especially since it's mature themes played by immature people. That said, if you've ever considered hiding fake tarantulas in the laundry of other people in your household, then you're in the right place. And with that, I'll turn it over to Emily with last week's recap.
I'm not in the right place.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you are.
No. Oh, you know, it's funny that you said that, because as you're saying that, I'm in my own world, because those who are watching on YouTube will see that all of the players are in the wrong spot. And I was looking at your portrait, and you're in Scott's spot, and you said, I'm not in the right place. And I was like, no, you're really not. You're in Scott's place. That was really weird.
That's a little meta. I thought you were going to go another way and be like, Emily, you are totally someone who would put a live tarantula in someone's laundry.
But that's what I was thinking.
Don't make Emily mad.
Nothing more dangerous.
Let me read the vignettes from last week. So last week we didn't have a normal episode, but we had scenes for some of the different characters. So beginning with Sam. Sam awoke lying on a dirt road, staring up at the stars, his truck's headlights shining over him and the engine running. He does not know how he got there. He gets in the truck, sees his handgun has been fired, looks around, recognizes the terrain, realizes he's only a couple miles from home. But he sees no animals, no glowing eyes in the woods, none of his cows in the field. So he goes into the pasture to check on the cattle and eventually finds a corpse, a cow corpse, completely skinned in the middle of the pasture. No blood around, still warm, no knife marks. He puts some chicken wire around the corpse and continues on. He finds the rest of the cattle all clustered in the far corner of the field. As he approaches, they bolt for the barn. At this point, he heads for the house. Looking at the clock, he realizes 7 or 8 hours have passed. In the mirror, he unbuttons his shirt, and realizes that there are distinct red marks like suspenders on both of his shoulders. As he goes into the bedroom, his wife wakes up, speaks to him, asks about the cattle, and Sam starts to share his story. Next vignette, we have Francis, Buddy, Francis, whose friends call him Buddy, and Eddie Ten Fingers. Friends call him Ten Fingers. Buddy's security clearance is the highest on the base, or so he believes. And he is right now, he investigates vulnerabilities and keeps things safe. He's 5 floors below ground, making his rounds through the lab and hears strange noises from the room. A violent human scream. He opens the door with his master key and inside finds a very pregnant woman restrained by 2 scientists. She has weird gnarled blobs of flesh on her face, and weirdly, she's unexpectedly strong. A scientist fills a syringe and with sedative, and she eventually goes limp. Buddy has helped to hold her down. There's a vibrant blue glow behind a curtain with a moving shadow, a sharp pain in Buddy's neck, and he passes out. Cut to the next scene. Eddie is investigating. His investigation has led him to the base. He's investigating civilian casualties in the area. He knows about some of the events from last season. Spoiler for last season, he knows that Richard's head exploded, and he knows that Richard had a connection to the base. His partner Jimmy disappeared, and he's also looking for clues about him. He encounters Buddy because Buddy has been demoted, lost his security clearance, and he's working at the gate. Buddy shows Eddie inside to Corporal Smith's office, and Smith orders Buddy to wait outside while he talks to Eddie, and Eddie accuses Smith of not being American for not caring about these disappeared people. And Smith flips out, but he ends up giving Eddie permission to interview people on the base. Eddie asks for Buddy's help, and they agree to work together. Next scene, we meet Sister Bielopushkin. We're in a convent. There's a tense atmosphere. Soldiers outside. The nuns are in hiding. The only person supposed to be there is Mother Superior. Sister B is the youngest nun, and she inspires everybody to move. They sneak out the back, dress as townspeople, and a townsperson with a truck helps them leave the area. However, they're stopped by soldiers. Sister B hops out, claims to be a gymnast, calls the soldier that she's speaking to lazy and worthless, and he challenges her, telling her, "Flip." He refuses. She gave him a lot of attitude. He says, "If you are not a gymnast, I will shoot you." She says, "If you are not a man, this will not hurt," and kicks him in the balls.
I forgot about that part.
Regardless, they do get away. And then we cut forward to somewhere in New Mexico 20 years later as she sits at a table holding a letter from the Soviets with explicit details about what happened to her fellow nuns. She burns the letter. Someday, she says, they'll be blown away like these ashes. Finally, this is a long one, sorry. I mean, the whole. Let's go. Jo wakes under her bed. The last thing she remembers is reading the words from the book that she stole from Hans Becker. There are flickering lights in the darkness, and her hands are sticky. A blood smear on the door streaks like finger paint down the hallway. She looks in her parents' room, and it is a mess of blood, but no bodies. The basement is dark, so she gets a flashlight and goes down, following the blood streaks, to find her friend Mary's body covered with blood and soaked. The blood has soaked into the salt that also covers her body, looking weirdly red and crystalline. Her parents are also there, dead, looking as if they were mauled by bears, and Jo passes out. When she wakes, She is robotic. She is just not in her mind anymore. She closes her parents' eyes and walks upstairs to find emergency personnel everywhere. Officer Mulvaney asks her what happened, and she can only respond, "They're all dead." Her pointer finger has no blood. That is the end.
Nice, great
Gosh.
job.
Yeah.
So just for what it's worth, Eddie's last name is Dill Dingendorf.
And you're judging me for not writing that down?
No judging whatsoever.
Oh, let me just go ahead.
Yeah,
and,
kind of.
I mean, you
make a
got
note
Bjorn
of that.
Pushkin, but not Dill Dingendorf, so
Fair enough.
that's
fair
okay.
enough. Dill, Dill, like the herb.
You spell it however you want.
All right.
Eddie's not even sure how to spell his own name.
I'm just surprised y'all hang out with me from week to week.
For future reference, I do have Eddie's last name now.
Nice.
Eddie, 10 fingers, Dill Dingendorf.
Maybe if you guys are good, I'll tell you the story of how he got the nickname.
Gross.
Dildo?
You have 10?
If you guys are good, I'll tell you the story someday.
Okay.
You got to earn that one.
I don't
Maybe,
want to know what
maybe
your,
I don't want to know it. Yeah, I was going to say.
I also don't
What
want to
can
know
we
what your
do- what can we
definition
do
of
to-
good is.
Yeah. What can we do not to hear the story? That's what Art and I want to know.
I guess we have to be bad.
You could try being a little bit more backlit. We'll see if that works.
Wow.
Ouch. Thanks, Scott.
You're
Thanks for commenting on my epic lighting failure this evening.
Always here to support you.
Every time I move, I notice it flashes a little bit too, which is even
It's great.
makes looking at the screen even easier.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna last week's episode kind of set a little precedent for these characters that we'll be exploring this season. And so we're roughly 4 weeks beyond where we left off in season 2, right? So spoiler alert, if you haven't finished season 2,
Go back
I'll
and
just
do
call
that.
it. Yeah, I'll just call it the departure of certain characters. We're about 4 weeks after that departure. So where I think we'd start, and for our listeners, in our vein of improv here, the characters don't know what they're about to be plopped into, but we are going to start with Joe. And
Hey, can I just ask a question before you get going? And if you can't answer this, feel free to say I can't answer that. But so Sam's vignette, how far in the past was that? Was that established or no? Or is that unknown?
That was not that was not established, but it was that's definitely that's backstory for Sam. I think that's fair to say.
Okay. But we don't know how far.
But it
backstory.
helps explain why Sam is staying in it when he sort of didn't have an initial reason to it. Actually, he does have a reason to.
Okay. Yep. I was just curious
That's my
as
takeaway.
the story was happening, I was wondering, where this fell in our timeline. But okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
If it's a mystery, it's a
guess
mystery. That's exciting.
Yeah. But it is before he met up with y'all. How's that?
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yep, that helps.
Okay. Or met up with before he met up with the group in the previous season.
Before we
Wayne,
met him on the show.
Yep. And Wayne, I sent you a little message that you'll need to check out. But Joe, so we'll start off with you, and I'm just going to give a little brief recap of what Joe's been with Carly for the last month. And being with Carly for the last month, she's been taken care of in a way that she hasn't been taken care of since her parents died. And this nurturing has kind of given her some restoration. We're about to find out how much. So, Joe, would you like to roll on your sand table And I would say with advantage, because you've had a month of care from Carly and being with Stephanie, who you've been able to kind of act like an older sister to, and in establishing that relationship's given you a bit of confidence. So we're gonna see how much we restore you with here.
Did you say roll against my sand table?
Yeah,
You mean like roll sanity?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but said in a really weird way.
So do I want to surpass or do I want to be over or under on this?
Well, roll it twice, and which you want to be under,
Okay.
preferably.
Okay. Well, my SAN is 28.
Okay.
My first roll was a 20. My second roll was a 4.
Holy cow. All right. So with that, then, wow, that's kind of big. Why don't you roll a d20?
Okay.
Wow, one of those dice that doesn't come up very often for us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God, I rolled 20. Wait, is this like D&D where 20 is good or?
You just rolled a 20 for real?
Sorry.
All right. So
Take it down.
All right. Then this month has been particularly healing for you, and you felt safe, you felt really secure, and it's offered it's offered a lot in the way of rebuilding your confidence and your security, and as well it's been this odd feeling of being in Abiquiu and starting to think that maybe things here aren't as bad as you thought they were when you left. And so go ahead and you can boost your sand score by 20 points there, Joe.
20 points. Wow.
Could Buddy do that?
Sanity now 20.
Yeah, Buddy's is 20 total.
I
buddy.
have the feeling that hanging with Eddie Dingledorf for the last month probably isn't going to do
only
lot
going to
to-
help. It's only going to help.
Just can't imagine that.
Dilgendorf.
Oh,
And
Dill
no,
whatever.
you're
Dill
both killing me.
Dingendorf. Dill
Dill
Dingendorf.
Dingendorf.
I can't read my own writing. Sorry.
Eddie Dill
It's gonna
Dingendorf.
be
But you can call me
great.
10 fingers, okay?
Great episode.
Okay. All right. The other thing that's transpired over that last month is I would assume you, and correct me if I'm wrong, tell me if your character wouldn't have, but I would assume you would have gone through the contents of the safe.
Yes.
Okay. So in the contents of the safe were extensive dossiers on Franny and on Rutherford. You've found out extensive details about their personal and past life that Richard would have known. And I'll actually leave that up to you if there's anything particular, or former ghost of Franny, ghost of Rutherford, if there's anything that you feel like would be very pertinent that Richard would have known about you that you want to offer up to Joe, now would be a great opportunity to do that. He would have, yes, anything that you shared intimately with him, he would have recorded and placed in these files, along with photographs of you, everything from like designation of height and physical characteristics to emotional moments, and also any sort of professional information that you would have shared with Richard would be contained in these dossiers. So they're extensive to that regard.
Wow.
And if y'all need a minute to think about that, I can kind of go on to the other contents of the safe, and then we can come back to you.
Did we talk about? And I said we. When I say we, I mean you and I, Michael. Did we talk about what Franny had found out?
I
can't
No,
remember.
we didn't.
Okay.
But I could add that in if you want.
Okay, yeah. So, Franny's would be about her scientific background, and that she was a great student, really good scientist, biologist, and a chemistry minor. And I guess Richard would probably know that all of her schooling was really just to get her into a position so that she could research her great uncle, Harold. Her whole life's purpose was to find out who he was and what he was researching and how he died. She did at some point learn something, whether that I had thought of it as something she learned like while she was doing her like late stage research in her education, but it could have been early in the lab. But she definitely found something that really motivated her and sort of confirmed what she already suspected, that Harold was into something somewhat supernatural, somewhat unexplained, pretty dark, and that he was on the right path to learn something really spectacular, and she was really trying to pick that up.
Okay. So certainly then, Joe, as you're combing through this, I'm thinking what stands out to you. So there's a couple things that stand out to you. Both, there's extensive kind of outlining of Franny's lineage in terms of as it relates back to Harold. So her knowledge of Harold's roots in Bloodstone stick out, as well as artifacts and kind of tracements that she had been able to research and put together about her uncle. So there's Richard wasn't, he was an architect, so he had drawing skills, but he didn't have all the information. There's drawings included in this dossier of things that Franny described to Richard about Harold's inventions or ideas about his inventions, and also her concerns about his mysterious kind of disappearance and the family's attempt to find out what happened to him. There's also documentation that Franny had traveled far to different family members in search of these artifacts that had been spread out among the family, and was somewhat trying to put together this archive of Harold's research. One thing that stuck out in particular in this kind of catalog is that Franny had been doing some research on some cells that she was given that were supposedly plant cells at the lab in Los Alamos. And the plant cells that she had been doing research on behaved strangely. They behaved somewhat like animal cells and did things that plant cells shouldn't have done. She had this kind of gut instinct and had confided in Richard that she had found in a box of stuff that was mixed. It wasn't all Harold's stuff, but she'd gotten this box of stuff from a family member, and in it, mixed in, was a vial, and in that vial was some matter that seemed to act in the same way, but it was a very tiny sample of material, and she wasn't even able to identify what that material was in her research.
May I ask a question?
No. Okay.
I'm asking a question. So, was it clear that Franny had actually collected physical items, past inventions, belongings when she went around to these family members? Like, does it seem like there's a trove of Harold's items somewhere?
Art, I'll let you kind of field this one, but I certainly wouldn't go so far as to say a trove.
Yeah, I would say probably not, because one of I like I like where you were going with like individual artifacts, or almost like clues to the fact that there might be a group of things somewhere. But I found this on Franny's backstory recently, just in the last week, that she fully intended to make her way to Bloodstone at some point. That she was trying to collect enough information and enough knowledge in preparation of actually going to Bloodstone. That she figured that would eventually be the end of the investigative journey, but she was trying to get really properly prepped before just going there.
Okay.
And that's no small find. The third dossier in the safe is all about Bloodstone, and information that Richard has gathered that seems to relate to Bloodstone, which is now, the reason he hasn't just gone is it seems to be another militarily occupied place at this point.
Ooh, interesting.
And one more question going even further back to your information about Jo and her intermezzo with Carly. You said things in Abiquiu are better than she thought. Does that mean she realized that people didn't blame her, or was that just a more general statement?
Wow. I think with what you gained back, I wasn't going to go so far as to say that before you made that roll, but I think that we could establish that there's definitely been a feeling, probably initially, of Jo trying to feel that out with Carly, and then realizing as she heard more about the people in town that she's not actually resented or begrudged, or there's not any ill will in the town towards her about what happened to her parents. That actually the opposite, right? The town feels for her and her loss.
Awesome. Thank you.
Rutherford,
did you want to tell us anything about your dossier?
It would just be from Rutherford was with him for so long that it would be more family aspects, and that Richard had a full sister from back where he came from in Europe. Her name was Paulina, and that Carly is a half sister, if that works with our keeper. Would
Wait.
Carly?
No, this is a dossier on Rutherford, not on Richard.
Oh, on Richard. Oh, I thought it was on Richard. Oh, okay.
No. Richard, this was Richard's safe, so these are his
Oh,
files.
okay, never mind.
So yeah, this is a dossier on your character.
Oh, good lord. I'm like, on what secrets he had that he shared with Richard.
Yeah, now there you go.
Oh, good lord. I was a completely different train of thought there for a while. Daydreaming. Sorry.
It's okay. If you need a minute, I can talk about the other stuff that's in the safe if you need a minute.
No, I was going to say Rutherford didn't have that much with Richard. Rutherford was wrapped into the whole nuclear concept, and that it was, going into the wrong hands, and that he distrusted the government, to the nth degree. But he did have suspicions of some other curious science oddities that were in the area. So that's one of the reasons that he was there. He was constantly trying to find a logical explanation for it all, but there was over the years during his research with Richard, there was a buildup of anomalies he was putting into a folder that he just couldn't explain. And so they ended up with Richard, just anomalies that were unexplained, and Rutherford just couldn't wrap his head around it. And he would have probably had a copy himself, which he probably left behind, but probably left a copy with Richard of these science anomalies that made no sense. And they started to be seemingly centered in this area of New Mexico of happenings. And that's why he just kind of left everything and came here without a lot of resources and such like that to study this area. But he completely and utterly suspected the government of all those oddities.
Okay.
So along with that would be any details that Rutherford knew about nuclear plans that the United States was embarking on.
Yeah.
Anything that he mentioned at all to Richard or his suspicions would be in that dossier as well. So
and Rutherford was also a chemist, and I was going to say there's a possibility, I'll leave it up to the keeper, that he might have run across an element that was unexplained on the periodic table of elements, or something like that, where it just made no sense to him whatsoever, and he was trying to find out more from it, and more of it. He didn't get very far at all, but he had a suspicion there was a strange element that he came across once before. Perhaps Richard supplied it to him, and he had no way to describe what was the laboratory results were coming out on it. It made no sense. There was no reference to anything else in science for him to explain it. And he believed that it came from the Southwest.
Is that all good with the keeper?
It's totally good.
Cool.
In addition, there's a U.S. passport, a Latvian passport, a Polish passport, a Romanian passport,
wow,
and a Russian passport.
All in his name?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask the same thing.
They all have his photograph, but each one has a different name.
Huh. Interesting.
There were also two 16 millimeter reel tapes, and these y'all didn't. They piqued your curiosity, but it took Carly a little bit of time to procure or borrow something so that you could watch them. When you watched them, and the first time y'all watched them, you turned them off immediately because it was kind of in those early stages after everything had happened to Rutherford and Franny and Cully leaving, and you really needed some space, and it didn't seem urgent. But in the past few days, you've gone back to them and y'all projected at them. They're very odd in that the location is completely nondescript. But one tape is of a man sitting at a table, and he appears to be behind some sort of shield, clear shield, like glass or something of that manner. And there's three other distinct individuals in lab coats standing behind him, looking over his shoulder and taking notes.
All on the far side, all on the same side of the shield?
Correct. So it's like he's seated behind a table facing the camera.
Mm-hmm.
There's three individuals standing behind him taking notes. As you watched this one, it didn't make a lot of sense because it's about 15 minutes of this footage, and every time or when you're watching, the people in the background are looking up like they're observing something. They would scribble furiously. They seem to be talking to the gentleman sitting at the table, and the man sitting at the table is very focused, and he's looking forward through it and very intently. Sometimes his lips move. There's no audio to the reel at all, and so you kind of watch the whole thing trying to assess what he's looking at. There is, when you watched this one, you noticed a camera next to these individuals pointed through the glass onto the other side. And so when you put in the second reel, it appears to be that viewpoint of the second camera. And from that perspective, it's looking through the glass, and there's a woman who initially starts off seated at a table, kind of at the long end, staring back at the group that the camera was at. And she's doing very odd things in terms of You can't really understand what they're looking at. But the first thing she does is push herself back from the table and stand up. She then proceeds to do jumping jacks. She touches her nose, and seems to be doing kind of these basic, it's like a whole series of almost calisthenics, right? Like trying to do these, she's doing these like strange physical exercises. Then she proceeds to go under the table, lift the table up over her head, face away from the men or the man, and throw the table against the far wall. She doesn't seem angry. It's not aggressive. She's just doing it. And then the last thing it shows is her sitting down on the ground, covering both of her eyes and laying down. And then the tape ends.
Since we weren't there, can we ask clarifying questions, or no? Is this something we have to find out later?
Since you weren't there.
So our characters haven't seen this.
Yeah.
But I am curious and have some clarifying questions. Should we wait until our characters see it?
Ask your questions, and then I'll see if anything's appropriate to kind of throw out there. Because if it's my vagueness in description, right? I want to clarify it. Yeah.
If you were to line up those two videos, would it appear that the dude on the other side of the glass is giving the woman instructions?
Make an intelligence roll, Joe.
Oh, me.
Yeah.
I reached for my dice. I was like, oh wait, my name's not Joe.
Yeah, because she's the one. She's
watching
it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I failed.
Okay. And so I think it's probably not an idea that would come up to Joe at this point.
Okay.
Which I think probably makes sense for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Other clarifying questions?
No, but I'm fascinated.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. There's also there was more cash underneath all of this, right? There was the envelope of cash initially that I think Sam wanted some of. Remember, he was like, "Can I have some of that cash?" When he left? Yeah. And then Carly held back, but there was even more cash in the safe. So a significant kind of trove of items in terms of what Richard had been stashing all this time. Sorry, Franny and Rutherford.
Oh. Poor Franny.
Right. So I think Carly would look at you, Joe, and we'll say we'll pick up a couple of days after y'all have kind of viewed this footage, and I think she's just Good morning, Joe. How are you doing today?
Actually, pretty good.
Yeah.
Today I slept well. No nightmares, no dreams even.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm thinking that I'm gonna head out for a bit today. Do you think you're okay? I'll take Stephanie with me, but do you think you'll be okay for the day here, or is there anywhere you needed to get to today?
Oh, no, I'll be fine here.
Okay. And as y'all are talking, there's a significant knock at the door. And she said, and she looks at you and she says, I wonder who that could be.
I don't know. I'm not expecting anyone. You should probably get it. I'll stay
If only
here.
there was some way to find out.
Okay. So she heads to the front door and she opens it, and there's a woman standing there in the doorway, and Carly says, hello, may I help you?
Yes, you can help me. I'm here. I'm a sister from St. Ambrose, and I'm here to ask some questions. You are Carly, I do believe. Yes.
I'm sorry, Sister Ambrose. Did you say Sister
Oh no,
Ambrose?
I come from the Sisters of St. Ambrose. My name is Sister Pushkin, but it is difficult sometimes. So people have started to call me Sister B. You may call me Sister B. And she has a big suitcase sitting there on whatever the stairs, such like that. It's a very old style suitcase.
And Carly's kind of poked her head around the door to answer it. And so, Joe, you see Carly motion with her hand to you to like, maybe get out of eyes. She doesn't want you seen.
Okay.
She's a little bit suspicious of what's going on here.
Then I'll be right inside of my door, but listening avidly.
Yeah. All right. And I'm sorry, sister, but I don't believe I have any relationship with your convent. And what could I do for you?
Oh, I believe you may have a relationship with other convent, and you don't know. There are so many strange streams in the world that sometimes crisscross, and people don't even know it. Okay, so I was wondering. It has been very warm out today, and I've walked very, very far. And she has, just these very plain, big shoes, nothing fancy. She's absolutely, a nun, and she's like. Says, I would greatly appreciate it. And if I could come in just for a moment, Miss Carly, and we could sit down and just have a little talk. I have some questions about someone that I believe we have a mutual, let's just say, friend at this point.
And she says, "Oh, I was about to head out for the day, sister. Do you could you tell me how you know my name?"
Oh, well, that is interesting, my friend. First off, your name. You are called Carly, but I just want to say that if we can come inside, I don't want other people to hear what we have to talk about. It is private and important, and this is where she will use, if you can, she uses her. Oh, is it her persuade? But her persuade's not pushy. It's in this very older nun sweet sort of way. She says, but that glass of water would do so much help for me right now, and I've come such a long way. Just one glass of water, and then a few minutes, and just a short conversation to talk about someone we know.
And how did you do?
Let's do it. Just missed. And she has a good persuade.
That's okay. Carly didn't do much better on her perception. So I guess what Carly does is she says, if you'll just hold on a minute, sister. And she pushes the door to, and she looks over her shoulder. I don't know that anybody necessarily could see it. And she makes sure that Joe is unseen and that Stephanie's also unseen. With
Sister Pushkin's abilities, can she try to do a spot hidden?
Well, she is she's outside, and I'm saying that Carly just push the door closed.
Is there a little window or anything? Because Sister Pushkin will.
Oh, that's a good one. All right, I'll take that.
She'll lean over and she'll just go. She'll drop something and she's and then do the old peek under the curtain.
No. I'm thinking just go ahead and roll. I have an idea. Let's see how you do on it.
While he's rolling, can I ask a question? Because I wanted Joe to also roll a perception, because Carly rolled a perception and Joe's listening, but there's no perception skill.
Well, I meant by you can use I was using intelligence to see if Carly felt like anything was off or to not be persuaded, essentially. If you want to use your wisdom or your intelligence in order to what were you going for here? I guess I
wanted to know if I felt like anything was off, because this woman shows up and knows Carly's name and then wants to come in the house and won't explain why. And I did make my roll.
I don't think you even have to make a roll for that. Joe, knowing Joe, that's going to put Joe's Carly's hockles are up as well, right? There's there's concern. So, but for whatever reason, Carly decides to let her in. But before that, sister, when she closes the door, there's a little window, just like you described, like one of those little square windows with the little kind of small panes in it. And as she closes the door, you poke up on your tippy toes and you look through there, and you see Carly's head turning, looking down the hall behind her towards the bedrooms in the house. And she's waving at nobody essentially, but you see her hand kind of moving as if to motion somebody out of the way. And then she opens the door and she says, why don't you come in, sister, and have a seat right here. And it's that little sitting area in the front of the house where Rutherford's eye exploded out of his head. And so in fact, what a little moment where Sister Bella Pushkin sits right where Rutherford's eye flew out of his head, and she sits in that exact same spot. And Carly, who seems a bit nervous and maybe a tiny bit on edge, gets you a glass of water and hands it to you and says, would you like anything a bit stronger, sister?
Oh, and she says, oh, goodness, no. And when she's doing this, she's quiet for a second and she does a listen check, because that's what she does.
Okay, sure.
The spot hidden didn't go so good, but the listen check she got.
Okay.
So she gets a sense because she has a good psychology too.
Okay. And so she hears some coughing down the hall. It's not you, Joe. It's Stephanie, who's
maybe the kid.
Little kid, like maybe she sneezed. The little kid sneezed. We'll go with that. And so you hear that.
And then Sister Bella pushing her and goes, if she hears the sneeze, she goes, oh, God bless you for your sneeze in there. I hope you're are not sick. And no, you do not bring a sister anything more than just water. Just water for Sister B. I do not need anything harder than that. That would not be great.
And so when the sneeze happened, Carly kind of went upright a little bit more. She's, just a bit more on edge. And so she hands you the water. You notice a little bit of a tremble in her hand. And
so Sister Bella Pushkin actually takes the glass of water, puts it down, and stands up. And then in a very sisterly she takes control moment. She stands up and she reaches and takes both of Carly's hands and rubs them, puts them together and starts rubbing them and soothing them, and looks her right in the eye. And she says, "Oh," he says, "Do not be nervous. You have friends here, little ones, and they are okay. I am here to talk to you about many things, but one very big thing that we are in common. And first, what? Can't see that.
What?
I was trying to show you. I was trying to show you the Keeper's 98. As you take Carly's hands and start to rub them together, it's very odd because Carly's been very strong and kind of firm and held her own. She passes out.
Whoa.
Oh goodness.
Oh.
And sisters, oh my goodness, I've been too much. And she says, and she doesn't want to alarm anyone, so she says, oh, everything is okay. And she picks up Carly because she's actually pretty strong.
Yeah.
She lifts and puts her on the couch and makes her comfortable, moves her bag out of the way. Any pillows, anything need to be rearranged. If there's a little blanket, she puts it over her head, and she takes the glass of water and props her up, holds her back up, because she's a sister and she's obviously worked with people before who have been sick and such like that. And she puts the glass of water to her lips and says, she says, oh, little Janachka, a little bit of water for you. Janachka, this will make you better. And we'll see if Carly wakes up listening to that.
Okay.
Because Janachka, and she says Janachka, but then she also says Jana, and she taps her cheeks a little bit. Jana is Russian for Jane.
Okay.
And Carly would know that.
Okay. Wow. All right. So Joe, you hear the thud as Carly hits the floor. And do you...
So we may have to retcon a little bit because I would have run out and all of that laying and pillowing and comforting might not have happened quite that way.
Okay. So
is that okay?
Yeah. So I guess you would probably run out as Sister Bella Pushkin is lifting Carly onto the couch.
Yeah. So when I hear the thud, I would run out and I'm clutching the only weapon I have, which is the long piece of metal that was stuck in Franny's wound.
Oh, God.
I mean, it's been cleaned.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay.
The one from the doctor.
Cleaned.
Yeah. Sister B would finish
Right.
finish putting Carly on the couch. So at that point, and would turn and would
Wait. Just wait.
well,
Because
I don't know if
I'm running out
well,
and I'm going to yell, what have you done to her?
Okay, there you go.
No.
Well, all right. Well, she has her in hand, so she has to put her on the couch. That's what I was going to say. So she has to put her on the couch, and then I assume turn around because she can't see you. I'm envisioning you're behind Sister B.
If I can, I will slide in front of Carly and brandish my metal at you, strange petite woman.
Oh, well, is she already picked up? See, I thought she was picked up.
You
already.
said you just put her down.
Oh, on the couch.
You said you just put her down on the couch. And
Okay.
so I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
like to run in between.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. And I was like, oh, there is many other people in the house. And who do you? And I said,
What did you do to her? Is she okay?
Oh my goodness, she fainted. We were talking for a moment and I grabbed her hands and she was overcome. She just fell to the floor and she says, oh, my dear one, we must get this water into her. I reach over to the water glass and I bring it over then to Carly, to her lips. And I said, we must give her water. She fainted onto the floor and I hope she did not hit.
Who are you?
Oh, and I am Sister B. I am here to see Carly. We have many, many things in common. And we have to have a little talk. I'd love to have you sit and join us. And I believe there's another one here, a little one. I heard a sneeze.
That's not important.
I said, oh,
I
why?
sneeze.
Oh, no, you did not sneeze. That was a little child who sneezed. You are not a little child.
I have a very
And
childish sneeze.
it also came from that other room over there. But that's not important. The important thing is this woman, Carly. We need to help out our little Janachka here.
Okay. Carly, are you okay? And I'll just tap her lightly on the cheek.
Sister B, yeah, she won't get in the way.
And a little sip of water, and she starts to come to, kind of slowly looking around.
And then Sister B says, oh, I did not mean to alarm all the people in the house. I've upset people. And she goes, oh, dear Janachka, dear Jana, I hope you are okay. You have fainted and seem to be overwhelmed. And he says, it is you, Jana, right? Richard's sister.
What? How? Who did you say you were?
And he says, I am Sister B. And I said, oh, I am Richard's sister. I am Richard's full sister. And this is Jana. This is Jane. She is Richard's half sister from the life in a different country. Oh, I'm much, and Sister B is obviously much older. And she says, oh, I am much older. And she says, I have come to talk to our beautiful friend here, Jane, to talk about Richard. We need to find out some things about him.
At this point, finally, Joe is silent, just looks from Carly to the sister and back to Carly, looking for some sort of acknowledgement, some sort of agreement, something from Carly to show that this crazy thing might be true.
And Carly looks back at you and looks back at the sister, and she just looks at you, Joe, and she says, I'm really sorry, Joe. I was just trying to protect you.
Is she really? Is she who? Is this true?
It could be.
And Sister B goes, "Oh goodness, I have put so much doubt and mystery into all the people in this house, and I feel terrible about this." And Sister B goes to sit on a chair, and she looks upset. She says, "I knew there would be many waves caused by me coming here and asking questions. And Collie, I've never met you in person, but Richard he sent photographs of you when you were younger to me back in Europe, and I saw you grow up, and it was wonderful. But at this point, I will call you Jana, because that is your name and has always been. This Kali thing is new, and I know it seems to be protecting you. But Richard, well, I want to ask you when you're feeling a little better, some questions about Richard, and maybe your friend here. What is your name, my dear?"
I'm waiting for okay. I'm gonna make a quick roll first before I respond.
And I don't even know if you have to roll. You can answer whatever you want.
Well, no, I wanted to roll to see if I was coming to trust her, because my inclination is still not to trust, but it would make things a little easier if I did.
Sure.
So I was going to leave it up to a roll.
All right. Yeah, that sounds good.
Sadly, I have a very low psychology. So that was a fail.
Okay. But that just means that, right, there's reservations there. And so
okay.
you take it how you want, but I think there's naturally going to be reservations. So.
Okay. I'm Joe. Just Joe.
Oh, it is a pleasure to meet you, Joe. I do not know. I never heard your name in any of Richard's letters or anything, but I knew he had some new friends recently, but I did not know their names. And this is where the stories have ended, and I do not know. So this is what I want to talk about. Maybe you know more than even Carly. I am looking for information on Richard's whereabouts and how he is doing. It's very important to me. Obviously, he is my brother, and I have lost contact with him. He has not written a letter in many months, and then, well, actually no, he would have written months in a week or so, and he would make a phone call here and there, and I have not heard from him. But I'm just curious about if he is okay. And I was hoping to talk to Carly, and perhaps you know more. This is very, very, very beneficial that you're here.
So Joe's eyes get really big, and her face just kind of falls.
And we'll go to a break.
Okay. Perfect timing. Everybody take a few minutes, and we will see you on the other side. We are back from break. Michael, back to you.
Yes. So we're cutting the camera from Joe's kind of slack-jawed face and heading over to a local a bar in
Eddie
town.
and Buddy show.
There's the note.
That's your note.
We could have all sang the beginning of the Eddie Buddy, and then she just goes at the end. Show.
I could, but if I sing anything high, my mic will just cut out. So
I don't think you're supposed to sing high. It's not good for the vocal cords.
Oh, I can sing so high. You have no idea.
I think she can sing whatever she wants. It might hurt your vocal cords to sing high. And I'm so glad I mentioned the Eddie and Buddy thing.
I think everybody just missed my point. You know what? I'm just gonna.
It was a reefer joke, guys.
Yeah, it was a reefer joke. It was a reefer joke.
He was trying to be happen, make a marijuana humor. I made a marijuana humor.
I made it funny.
Were you joking about the devil's lettuce? That is not a joking matter.
He said the word devil and Poppy poked up her head.
Of course.
My little evil chihuahua.
So what are Eddie and Buddy up to?
Eddie and Buddy are at a bar, and it would be the bar that you might remember was phoned in in season 2? Do y'all remember this? We phoned a bar trying to find out about Richard. I believe Franny phoned that bar.
Right.
Actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're cutting to the same bar that Franny called that day as Eddie and Buddy. I can't believe y'all. I hate y'all. Eddie and Buddy are having a drink. It's right down the street from the theater where the magician performed. And that theater right now is all boarded up and closed up. There's no act going on. And let's see. I'm going to go. Why don't you give me a wisdom check, buddy? This seems like a buddy thing.
Oh, boy.
And Eddie, you can make an intelligence. We'll see how this goes.
I don't know what Buddy's wisdom is. Wisdom's
not very high.
EDU knowledge. Is that wisdom?
I got a
Yeah.
regular success on intelligence.
Okay, you know what? Then we'll just roll
And
with that.
If it is EDU knowledge, then Buddy got a success too.
Oh, look at you. And so during the course of your conversation, it at least popped up that one of you had wanted to go see the magician perform. I don't know who it would have interested more. Who would it have interested more?
I mean, I would assume that I would have the knowledge because I knew about the car and the kidnapping, and I would know that it was the night of the show and that he was at the show when it happened, right?
Okay.
Like those are all the facts. So I think I would be really interested in finding out why he wanted to go to the show, if it has anything to do with the kidnapping, if there's any connection.
I think when the show was happening, Buddy would have been very interested to go just as a guest to like see a magic show.
Okay.
Because
So,
Buddy,
and I think,
Buddy would love a magic show.
and I think that's, of course he would.
Mhm.
And I think that that's how it would have come up, right? That you're really bummed that I'm not sure the facts of the kidnapping. I don't know where you would have gotten those, Eddie. So that one might be a bit
Remember,
of a
that's what I talked about last week with that there were eyewitnesses that saw him
Oh,
getting pulled
okay.
into the car.
Yeah. The eyewitnesses. Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's
They
fair.
identified sort of what the people looked like and that they were connected to the base.
Okay.
That's how I got on the base in the first place.
Okay. And so for you, buddy, you're just talking about being bummed that they had never made it to the magician show. And it's at that moment that you just kind of make a note to yourself, Eddie, that you find it odd that the show has just kind of shut down, because on the posters all around town, or the ones that you had seen, the show was supposed to still be live, supposed to still be going on. And so I'll just kind of plant that as something that happened in your conversation, and then I'll let y'all pick up your conversation wherever it seems most natural.
Can I ask a quick note taker question?
No. Okay.
Well, I'm going to anyway. I just shouldn't ask permission.
Don't
You
ask
said the
permission.
theater was boarded up. That sounds like closed forever. Do you just mean the theater's dark tonight?
It's all locked up, and there hasn't been, I guess boarded up's a little extreme, but it's all locked up, and there's been really no sign of coming or going for quite some time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess the question is, it's at least weeks, right, after our conversation when we first met. Is that correct?
Yeah, are we still 4 weeks in the future?
Yeah. So y'all have had time to kind of collude and share thoughts and that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm unless I'm incorrectly doing this, I'm kind of fast forwarding.
No, I think
your
that's okay,
connection.
because what I'm wondering is, at this point, I'm going to have traced, working with Buddy, all of the steps that I can for that night. And there's enough sort of pieces here and there that I would assume I would know about sort of the players involved. I would know that they were out at Richard's house. I would, you know what I mean? Like but you tell me if that's correct, that it seems like there would be enough material evidence, enough eyewitnesses, enough stuff that at this point, we've probably gotten lots of the facts of the cases, and now we're maybe trying to put it together. Does that seem accurate?
Right. to some degree. I mean, you wouldn't have known like who Boone was. I don't think there's any reason you would ever have run into Boone.
Yeah.
The
But we'd know that, for example, there was a guy, right? There was a hobo because there was
drifter.
like a drifter. There were a lot, like there were probably witnesses. There was the burned out vehicle. There were
okay.
he was
Yeah.
serving at the base, like, so all these things had eyes on him, and in 4 weeks is a long time in an investigation.
That's-
So it's safe to say that we would have talked to enough people in town to probably gather. It's not like someone was hiding like a ninja the whole time. So
Yeah.
people were out and about in the open.
That's fair. I mean, certainly Franny would be noticed as missing, right? Like that would be major. I think at this point, certainly
Cully's gone, right?
Rutherford's disappearance is going to be noted. Cully's gone, but I mean, really, unless he left evidence at the house, right? You're talking about a kid from the Straits that really, I don't think there's a whole lot of reason for him to pop up in the investigation, except there's a kid around.
Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting part though is he got the house, and sort of, at least in my head canon, he tried to sell the house.
Okay.
So it's like, all of a sudden this kid shows up on the deed, shows up as the owner of the house, and within a week, 2 weeks, whatever it would take, the house is sold and the kid is gone.
So that's part that, right? That's your Cully canon that I didn't know. So that works for me. So I'm just kind of saying the things that I think would be most obvious, right, are especially though Franny's a scientist from the base who's missing.
Yeah.
I think that's going to stick out as major. Rutherford's disappearance would be significant as well. And then certainly Bello would have been a very colorful character. But his body, his body would have been found at the crime scene.
Well, I was going to say, wouldn't Rutherford's body have shown up in, forgot the town.
Abiquiu.
Yeah, thank you. Abiquiu, wouldn't his body, like, because I'm wondering if that's one of the hooks that gets us over to Abiquiu, is we would have the knowledge that a guy who was seen with Richard shows up dead in Abiquiu later on, like the next week or later on that week or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That works for me.
Yeah.
I like that. That makes sense. I won't fight that.
All right.
So I thought I was going to have tickets to this magic show. I was really excited to see it because, back home in Albany, before I got into the service, I went to see a magic show. It was really great. It was a ton of fun. But now they closed before I could get my ticket. It was really sad. Have you ever seen a magic show, Sir Eddie?
No, wait, though. What are you talking about here? It's been a long time. You're not going to call me Ten Fingers. You call me Eddie. But you don't call me sir or mister. That's not how we roll there, buddy.
It's just really hard for me to remember. So I just make it one word, Sir Eddie.
Sir Eddie. It makes me sound like a knight. I got to pull my sword out.
Oh, please don't do that. That sounds inappropriate, sir. Eddie.
So I love magic shows. They're fun. They're always bullshit. You never believe anything you see up there, but that's half the fun, is trying to figure out how they're tricking you.
Oh, and I don't know. Some of them seem awful real.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I've seen some stuff that seems awful real, but it turns out it's not real at all.
I don't know. I've seen some stuff that seems awful real. It's not magic, but it's not explainable. Well, I probably would have told him the thing by now, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You told me that pretty much right away.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it wouldn't have been right away because he'd be pretty scared. But at some point in the first couple of days, once he realized that you were doing a legit investigation and that there's some crossover and that you would believe him and that you wouldn't turn him in for telling you, then he would tell you that thing because he's pretty scared. You got demoted, lost his security clearance. That was pretty traumatic for poor buddy.
Yep. So yeah, but I'm not saying that stuff doesn't happen that we can't explain. What I'm saying is that there's lots of stuff that seems like it's hard to explain, but eventually the truth comes out. You know what I mean? That's what we're doing. That's what you're an MP. I'm a FBI. We look for the truth in things, and sometimes if it's weird, that's okay. Weird shit happens in this world.
How loud are y'all being?
I mean, I'm trying to keep it down. It's not easy for me to keep it down.
Really in your nature.
It's not in my nature. So you could like my voice is going to do this and then it's going to go back down because I'm going to realize I'm being loud.
Okay,
And
perfect.
basically I can't swear quietly. So no matter what I'm saying, as soon as I say something, it's like bullshit. And like it just comes out there. So if I have to sneak, I'm probably in trouble.
I love that all of your characters have a little bit of Scott in them. And we've just identified the Scott part of
A
Eddie.
little bit of Scott in there.
That's really cool.
When there's a curse, the volume goes up.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt y'all's course. Go ahead.
No, it's fine.
No, that's good. So yeah, I mean, you know, the part about the magic show. I mean, the whole reason we're talking about this is that magician and the fact that that show's here, and then what is it? The day that our friend gets disappeared by the army, the day that our friend gets taken away and he dies shortly thereafter, and all of a sudden the magician goes away. There's something that doesn't smell right. Every bone in my body's telling me that there's something going on with this, and it's bigger than just a magician who decides he wants to leave town, and that gives you a chance to see him pull a rabbit out of his ass.
So, Sir Eddie, you said two things that reminded me of a rumor I heard. Maybe you heard it too in your investigation.
But yeah,
I
you
heard.
gotta speak. I'm from Brooklyn. If you don't speak up loud, I don't hear nothing.
No, it's a rumor. So he gets all close. He says, I heard somebody pooped in the theater.
It's amazing. I'd go to a show just to see someone shit in the theater. Some of those shows are so bad I could have shit myself too.
Did that come up in your investigation?
You know what? It didn't, but I'm writing that in my book because it's hilarious.
I don't know. It seems kind of weird. That can't happen very often, right?
You'd be amazed what I've seen out on Coney.
Oh, I've heard that place is great. They got the hot dog place there.
Why do you think people are shitting in the theater? They eat a couple of the Nathaniels, and pretty soon they can't keep anything down.
Oh, are they not good? I heard they're great.
Oh, they're too good for words.
Oh, I want to go there someday.
When you got a mouthful of wieners, you know you're at a good day at Coney.
Man, I grew up just a few hours from there, and I never got to go as a kid.
Someday you and me, we're going to go to Coney. We'll go check it out.
Oh, okay.
Go check out the
That's
bumper
kinda
cars.
far.
You'll love that place.
So, what's next for the investigation?
So, didn't you say there were two things? You said two, and I'm an investigator,
Well,
and
no,
I hear these things.
Because
you
said
only listed one of the two things here.
No.
What are you messing with me for?
it was
You
two
trying
things.
to see if I'm on my toes?
It was two things you said. You said that that something didn't smell right, and something coming out of an ass, and that's what
Look at
reminded
you
me of the
using
pooping
right
in the
words
theater.
for this stuff. I'm
know.
corrupting you.
Kind of a little bit.
It's a good man, buddy. You're gonna earn that
Looking
name.
around, making sure nobody heard him say ass.
You spend a little bit more time with me, and you go on the base. Everyone's gonna call you buddy. You're gonna punch him in the nuts. That's what you're gonna do. So I think
don't
what we
think
got to
so.
do next. We know Abiquiu's important, right? We know that his friend got off in Abiquiu after being seen with Richard, and then with all those other people in Franny and all the kids and all that in this town. So that all of a sudden one day they're here, the next day they're there, and then the day after that he's dead. I think our next step. Oh, go ahead.
As you're saying this woman who had been, you'd seen her kind of from the other side of the bar, comes stumbling towards y'all and grabs the back of the chair and pulls it around, and so kind of turns it backwards towards the table and just plops herself down in the chair. So the back's facing the table. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So she's
And
not
she does-
facing us.
she does
or
like the
she's
straddle
facing us
thing?
with her.
Yeah, doing the straddle thing on
Yep.
the
Yeah.
chair. And she has a glass of whiskey. Okay. like not like a couple of fingers of whiskey. She has a glass of whiskey.
Okay.
And she looks at
Not a couple fingers. I'm gonna say, hey, look at you. They call me 10 fingers. That's how many fingers of whiskey you got in that cup.
and she looks at you real hard, Eddie, and she goes, huh, explain everything, huh? Yeah, that's what you think you can do. You're real smart. Think you can just explain everything, don't you? and you notice
pretty
that
much
is like she's incredibly intoxicated, but also quite beautiful, and it just really sticks out, especially at you, buddy, as to how beautiful she is, and she looks.
Sir Eddie, do you know this woman?
No, I don't know her, but it sounds like she wants to get to know us. I want to find out why. You know, let me ask you a quick question, buddy. And I'm not trying to ignore her, but I'm just sort of leaning in. I'm like, buddy, was I yelling when we were just talking? I don't always know my voice. Was I maybe a little bit louder than I should have been?
Your voice it does carry.
It's the worst part about being in the FBI. I always wind up telling everybody everything. It's really bad. So, and then I'm going to turn to her and I'm going to say, so you heard everything I said, right?
I just heard the part where you said that you can explain everything. Can you do that? Can you explain everything?
I'm trying to explain. I'm trying to explain why someone get their head exploded and nobody says nothing about it. And now I got to come down here and do the job of the army. That's what I'm trying to explain.
And can you explain why people just disappear? You think you know all about magic tricks, right? Like, what'd you say? You said something about you just know that you go watch them and you can explain them all. Can you explain them?
I'm okay with card tricks. I'm not so good at people disappearing off the street. That's why I got to investigate. But you tell me this: who are you talking about? Who disappeared?
Huh? You don't really know?
Well, there's a bunch of people that disappeared in this town. You got to give me a name. Otherwise, I don't even know who you're talking about. Left and right people disappear in this town.
Yeah, they do. It's funny where they all go. They all just kind of go. You know, 1 minute they're on the stage telling everybody how great they are. And then all of a sudden they're gone. They leave us all behind, right? You spend your whole life helping them build up, trying to make their career big, and then all of a sudden they're fucking gone without you. And her whiskey sloshes a little bit on the table, and a little bit of spittle flying out in your general direction as she gets like angrier and angrier. And then she just kind of
I just did a psychology roll and I got it. So I'm gonna say, if that's okay with you, I'm guessing it would have been. I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna make a guess here. You tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong, okay?
Mr. Know-It-All, here he goes. She's looking at you, buddy, and she's pointing at Eddie, and she goes, Mr. Know-It-All over here, he's gonna know all about me, where I come from. What are you gonna say?
So so what was the name of the magician again?
Casper Muscovane.
Okay.
Wow.
So did you by any chance maybe work on the stage with Casper Muscovane? Were you maybe his beautiful assistant?
Well, look at you.
You were looking gorgeous and up on that stage, and everyone was maybe so enraptured with you that they didn't notice that he was pulling a card out of his ass or something.
Oh, look at you. You do know everything, huh? That's pretty good. I like that trick.
So what happened to Casper Muscovane? What my friend Buddy here, and I'm gonna
You tell me.
I'm gonna whack you on the back, and I'm gonna be like, you look at this face, you look at this punum. You're telling
Buddy
me
is trying to vanish while staying in place.
You're gonna tell me that this beautiful face wants to go see your magic show, and Casper Muscovane and you don't even have the courtesy to put on a show for him? You guys are supposed to be performing for the next month or whatever. Why aren't you up on that stage right now?
Uh-oh. You might have said the wrong thing. She, with her whiskey on the table, stands up and turns the table upside down, and she says, "How dare you tell me when I didn't put on a show for your friend? He's the one who left me, Mr. Know-It-All. You tell me where he went. You seem to know everything. You tell me where he fucking went to. Huh? Where'd he go?"
First and foremost, I want to know Buddy's reaction to having a table flipped on him.
So which direction did the table go in relation to Buddy? I'm picturing Buddy kind of in the middle and the woman on Buddy's right and Eddie on Buddy's left. Is that right? Does that work?
I had the woman in the middle and Eddie to her left and you to her right. So when she flipped the table, right, it actually went between y'all, like it flipped towards the empty chair, basically.
Okay. So then,
like square table.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So Buddy would have his hands in his lap, and he's kind of looking side to side and trying to figure out if he should stand up or stay seated or pick up the table. And then while she's giving that rant, he would get up and pick the table back up, as if he somehow is responsible for it falling over.
Oh,
okay. And the glass too that fell on the floor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
okay. And I'm not for nothing,
and
but I'm
coaster
sort of
underneath the glass that's now empty.
I'm backing up, and I'm just sort of floating my hand near my waist, near the holster on my waist. I'm not drawing or anything like that,
Yeah.
but I've been in enough situations where things get bad quick. So I want to be ready. And I sort of put my hand out and I say, look, lady, I'm in the FBI. I don't want to got to do nothing to you. But if you don't take it down a couple notches, we're going to have a problem.
Oh, you're all fucking the same. I'm the problem. Telling me I'm your problem. And she just turns. She goes right behind Buddy and she starts heading right out of the bar into the street. Stumbly, very stumbly.
Okay.
So,
I'm not
Sir
chasing
Eddie,
her.
I think that woman was upset.
Yeah. I think your investigative genes are probably full of bravado right now, buddy, because you know your stuff. That's pretty good. Did the flipping the table or the screaming at us give it away?
I think it was the combination of the two.
Can we split up for just 10 seconds, not even too far? Can you just go watch and see if you can see where she goes, but don't follow her? I want to go ask the bartender the story.
Okay, yes, sir. And he gets up he's just been given orders, so he's up to follow the orders.
Okay. Yep. So if you head out the door, I assume, right, towards the street.
Yep.
And
he'll do a very clumsy. He'll do a very clumsy, like open the door and do one of these things.
All right. And you see her like very aggressively kind of accosting people on the street with what appears to be like a quarter of a deck of cards. And she's slurring people going like, pick a card, any card, just pick a card. Come on. And like just kind of, and people are like, kind of like moving around her and just trying to like get away. And should turn back in your general direction as they walk around her saying, yeah, well, you'll never find out what I know. I knew your card. And just kind of random shit like that.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, he's going to, stay. He's going to follow her a little bit, but, staying back quite a ways because he really does not want her to know because he's kind of terrified of her.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right.
Okay.
Eddie?
Wait, is there any more with that? I don't want to interrupt.
You know what, buddy? Give me a luck roll.
Oh, yep. That's definitely a success. Okay. Yeah, very much.
Okay. Hold that luck roll. We might open. We're getting kind of close on time, so we might open with that luck roll, but you make a note that you made that luck roll while you're following her. Okay.
Thank you, Emily.
And just to close off this part of the story. So what I want to do is go up to the bar. If I have some sense of if there's more than one bartender, wherever she came from, I want to go grab the bartender that I think she was talking to. And I want to find out a little bit about what's happening with her and what her story's been. So if we have time today, great. If we want to wait till next week.
We got time. I was just saying I wanted to cut back to this. So make a luck roll.
Okay. Yeah, total success.
Okay. And so there's a male bartender there, very solidly built, like really wide shoulders, very little neck and shiny bald and just like got a nice curly mustache, and he's just wiping a glass as you walk up, and he's just looking at you out of the side of your eye with that "can I help you" look.
And there's a pretty good chance that, like, I've been in town for 4 weeks.
Right, you're not a stranger. I'm just saying.
Not my first night getting a drink.
He's just looking at you like, what can I do for you?
Yeah. And he would know, like, what I would hope that if it helps, like, I get to know everybody, right? So if I ever ordered a drink from this guy, I know his name, right? Sure. I know, like, because I'm introducing myself to everybody and I'm talking to everybody. So, like, if anything, I'm regretful that I didn't have a chance to get to know what's her, like, I guess I didn't get her name, but before she went out. So there's a, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to say this guy would probably know me a teeny bit, and I would definitely know his name.
Sure. And
which means you have to give him a name.
Yeah, I'm doing that. I'm doing that. All right, his name's Richard. Oh no!
No.
I can't believe I almost did that.
Almost did it.
I almost did that.
No, it's not.
Oh.
No, it would have been worse. His name is Dick.
All right, his name's Lonnie. Yeah. You've bought drinks from him before. Let's see. Make a persuade roll. Let's see how you do on that.
Okay.
Eddie, Buddy, and Lonnie.
Oh God!
Oh,
damn it!
Eddie, Buddy, and Lonnie.
We're 3 Musketeers.
I got a. I rolled a 5.
Wow.
Mm.
So you've been.
So I got a super duper.
A super duper, yeah. So you've been tipping this guy really well since you've been in town. You know that the bartender's always a good source of information, and you are keeping that line of communication well. I'm trying to think of another word. Any other word? Well oiled.
Well lubed.
See, no, well oiled. We'll say well oiled. So you're keeping that line of communication. You've been taking really good care of it, tipping him really well. And so his look at you will retcon back to that look. It's not just a what do you want, but it's kind of that keen, knowing eye, like, what do you need, Eddie?
Great. Lonnie, my man, I got to talk to you. Something weird just happened. Obviously, you heard your table getting thrown over by that crazy drunk lady.
Yeah, you certainly have a way with him, huh?
Yeah, I didn't even have a chance to offend her. Usually I got to talk to them for more than 2 minutes before they flip a table and slap me across the face. So what was her name? She worked for that Rudolph or whatever the hell his name is, that magician. What's her name? Did you catch it?
Did I catch it? I can't believe you haven't run into her before. That's Lana.
Wait, Lonnie and Lana?
I hate myself. Why do I do this to myself?
That is so funny.
You know what? I'm killing Lonnie's name. It's going to be Joey. It's just Joey. There we go.
Joey and Joe?
I like Lonnie. Go with Lonnie.
You should name him all Michael.
Is there a name y'all can't screw up? I mean, like, really?
Us?
Nope.
All right, fine. We'll stick with Lonnie. Yeah.
Lonnie's great. Lonnie's perfect.
Right. Yeah, so, that's Lana.
So yeah, what's her story? What did she had enough whiskey to down an elephant here? So what's she doing?
Well, I mean, that's nothing new. You hadn't seen her in here before. She's always down in the whiskey.
I guess maybe I just didn't notice her. We've been so, what I'm doing here. I'm investigating this stuff. I'm trying to keep the people of your town safe. And then some woman's flipping a table at me and my friend Buddy. Yeah, I got to be honest. We're going to have to go over there and check for seeing if he maybe shit himself. Because this is not the kind of thing that my friend Buddy does well with.
Same old story, right? She was like shacked up with that bloke doing the magic act, and who knows? He cut down, he found a better looking assistant. He's gone. She's all pissed.
Do you, I don't know if you'd know this, Lonnie. I know you got about a million things you got to do when you're running this bar, but do you know how much after, remember I told you all about the night with the guys getting his head exploded and he was at the show. How much after that did they close that show? When did they stop doing their magic show? Was that the last night of it, or were there any performances after that night? Do you know this?
No, they shut down a couple days. They cleaned the theater. I don't know. She's been in here, the last week and a half, 2 weeks?
So that last night, that night with the kidnap, that was maybe their last performance, just about, it sounds like.
No. That's been what, almost a month ago. This guy split town only 2 weeks ago.
Oh. That's good information. You see, you're a good man. You're a poet, you're a gentleman, and you're a hell of a bartender.
Yeah. And you're good at leaving those tips. Make sure you leave another one.
Yeah, it's you earn your tip. You earn your tip. So does she come in here every day?
Wow. She's been
if I wanted to find her again, is this where I'd come to find her? Is she going to other bars? Do you know anything about her? If someone flips the table at me, I'd like to get to know them,
Hey, I know she pays for her drinks, right? Like, she comes in, she pays her tab. But I got to tell you, you're going to try and run into her when she ain't like that. I don't know when you're going to find her.
Yeah, does she come in here drunk?
Comes in drunk, leaves drunk, comes back drunk. I had never seen her sober.
Yeah.
Well, not since he left town.
It sounds like you sounds like they were a little bit close, you know what I mean? And maybe she didn't just lose her job, maybe she lost more than that.
Well, that's what I thought. That's what I told you a while ago, man.
Yeah, sometimes I get a little confused. There's a lot of facts in this case. There's a lot of stuff. I'm still worrying that maybe one day I'm going to wake up with my head exploded in this town. Seems like that's pretty common.
Yeah, just change your name to Columbo.
I don't know who that is, but he sounds like my kind of guy.
All right.
Okay. This sounds like, so yeah. I'm going to go check on my friend Buddy. I'm going to slide, a nice tip across the table for him. At the time, it feels like $1 would be pretty good. Considering drinks are like 25 cents.
Yeah. So that would be significant. And yeah. He'll immediately kind of scoop it up and slip it in his pocket, give you another nod, and say good luck to you there, Eddie.
Good man, Lonnie. Good man. Okay.
All right.
So for what it's worth, I'm going to head out and look for Buddy.
Okay. And then we'll close there.
All right. That is going to do it for us tonight. Until next time, you can find us online under thelibrary.com, under the LIB on Twitter, under the library on Instagram. So for me, for Scott, for Emily, for Wayne, and for Michael, and even for the absent Rick and Chris, thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you next time.